China's Belt and Road Initiative is the subject of a summit in 2016, in May in fact, and one of the advisors is Dr Victor Fung. He's the chairman of Fung Group, and thanks very much indeed for joining us. Can I start really by asking about this initiative? What's its merit really in terms of commerce, in terms of trade?
Well, in terms of trade, I think the impact will be far-reaching and substantial. What we're really talking about is linking up a whole expanse of countries and people, and most importantly to us traders, new markets that will really open up a new vista for global trade. Let me explain. If you look back over the last 30 years, what we've really focused on was trading and shipping everything from the world, produced around the world, into Europe and America. Those were really the key markets in the world. But what we would see as we go towards the middle of the century would be about half the consumption will be in the developing countries. Now, the reason for that is the influx of a new wave of middle-class consumers, up to over 3 billion in these developing countries. And looking further, they're primarily in the countries that are linked up by the maritime Silk Road. So what I see is that maritime Silk Road is our key to the new consumption and the new markets in the world over the next 25, 30 years.
What are the sort of initiatives that you see coming in the first few years, in the first couple of years?
The first initiative will obviously be putting in good infrastructure, because without good infrastructure, it's hard to trade. So we will see the activities of things like the Asia Infrastructure Investment Bank, the AIIB, that would actually put in the roads, the railways, the airports, the ports, etc. But as soon as that is in, or even before, we're going to be starting to talk about trade deals, bilateral arrangements, multilateral arrangements, regional arrangements, and that will facilitate trade. And then I think the traders would come in. What we really need to do is to find out the new consumers in the developing economies along the Silk Road. What do they want to buy? How do we access them? And I think there's really a tremendous opportunity for the creation of new approaches and new business models that will, frankly, take advantage of some of the new economy, the web-based approaches, the e-commerce that we're seeing, and how to combine that into looking at the problem as not just B2B, but B to small b. That is really the future.
Isn't it also, though, going to change the entire supply chain? Is it going to be a revolution, therefore, in the way in which you deliver goods and the way in which you make goods?
Well, it's interesting that you say that. I think in the last 30 years, what we've done is actually globalize the supply chain in terms of production. The consumption was still very focused in the West, if you would. So it was almost like, can we source in the East and sell in the West? What we're going to see now in the future is a much more nuanced global supply chain, where if you produced 100,000 items in China, yes, you ship a lot of that to Europe and America, but a lot of that will also be held for distribution in China, around India, around Southeast Asia, the new economies. So your supply chains will be a lot more nuanced. And it's going to be a lot more sophisticated, and I think that will be the next stage of the development of the global supply chains.
Victor Fung in Part 2, Hong Kong and the Belt and Road Summit.
What I see is actually a new era of opportunity for the Hong Kong trader.